Hey guys, Script here with another video, and I didn't cover the George Lucas comments yesterday because of the Acolyte trailer and its lore-breaking nonsense. But I definitely did want to talk about this, and something that's really important to understand is that, George Lucas is an incredibly rich man. He's a billionaire. There's only, 3,000 of them in the world? It's also important to note, and unfortunately, a lot of Star Wars fans that really, really, really look up to George Lucas tend to avoid seeing his flaws. And George has always been a money guy. And George would purposely do things in the creative sphere in his movies that would help push sales of things like toys and plushies and other things. Disney has, of course, continued that. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a Porg. I actually thought the Porgs were kind of funny. You know, they're there to sell toys and plushies to little kids. The Ewoks certainly fall into that category as well, among other things in the prequels and stuff like that. So even from a young Anakin, right? He did that specifically to target children to get into his movies, right, at a young age so that they'd grow up watching them, and of course you'd make more money. And again, you can debate that, whether it's right or wrong, till the cows come home. But at the end of the day, George, as much as he's a creative, he's a businessman. And I would argue that as the business grew, his creativity kind of fell off as his time and energy went more towards the businesses. Okay, that's my personal opinion. I think you see that in the creative process with certain things in the prequels, and even with his sort of coming in once every 2 weeks, sort of half lackluster approach towards the Clone Wars, which has a lot of stuff in it that kind of doesn't jive with the overall Star Wars universe. I would argue, or at least what it was back then, maybe not now, but start off here, Disney's largest individual shareholder is George Lucas. George Lucas does not want Disney Star Wars to go down the financial toilet. He's obviously made it very clear that in multiple interviews, he is not necessarily pleased with the direction that they took the stories, okay? But he still is the number one shareholder. He still wants Disney to make money. And right now, if you look at Star Wars, I just did a video the other day about the whole, they've made $12 billion, and then I went through all their expenses, and really, if they're really, really, really lucky, they've made $3 billion. They purchased Star Wars for $4 billion, and they've made $3 billion in 12 years. You can watch that video. I'll put the link in the description. But so he has a vested interest in this working financially, whether he cares or not about the creative process, whether he agrees with the direction that they're taking or not, he needs it to make money. The Acolyte needs to make money. The Acolyte needs to work, right? They've got one big show coming out this summer. It's The Acolyte. We have no idea what's going on with Skeleton Crew. It probably isn't coming out this year. So this has to work. Now, why they hired Leslie Headland, whose entire background is doing sex comedies and sexual stuff, I don't know. But that's who they chose, and they really need this to not fail. Now, obviously, everyone knows now the Acolyte is going against lore. It's going to create problems, so I think it's probably going to lose money anyways. But alas, they need it to be good. So Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan Chase has a relationship with Disney, big time. I mean, they make Disney credit cards, all types of stuff, right? They have a major stake in Disney. Like I was saying, George Lucas is the number one shareholder in Disney. Isn't it interesting that George Lucas's wife is on the board of JP Morgan Chase? Okay, so guys, we're entering the realm of the billionaires. This is the 0.0001 percenters, okay? This is the world that they live in. They don't talk about it, but this is the world they live in. So right there, you have this huge connection with George Lucas's wife, the board and the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Disney doing business with JP Morgan Chase. If you want, you can get Disney dollars on a Chase credit card, all that stuff when you go there, okay? When you go to Disney World or whatever, even if you don't. And then you get, if you use their credit card, similar to Air Miles credit cards or whatever, you get discounts on Disney stuff, right? So there's a huge, huge, huge connection. And again, George Lucas is the number one shareholder. So you have all these connections, right? With all these people. So George Lucas backs Disney board and CEO Bob Iger amid proxy fight. Creating magic is not for amateurs. He's come out with a statement supporting Disney's board CEO Bob Iger, urging Mouse House investors to reject bids by two activist investor groups to take seats on the media's company. Creating magic is not for amateurs, Lucas said in a statement released Tuesday. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my longtime admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. Now, that's an interesting thing to say, considering Bob Iger got ousted. He's back now, but he was replaced with Chapek, who did just as bad of a job, and then he comes back. And it's not as if Bob Iger has rejuvenated the program. Disney stock is still low. People are still not digging it. They're closing down, like I said in my video about the financial situation. They spent all that money on that hotel. It's closed down. They spent all this money on all types of things for Star Wars that have since failed. And so, you look at The Rise of Skywalker, they didn't even make a toy line for it. That's how bad it was. A Star Wars movie without a toy line? Are you kidding me? So, it's not exactly been cushy for Bob, but George is the number one shareholder. So even if he doesn't believe this, he's going to say it, folks. I know you want to believe he's, this, super, wonderful, all about the creative side guy. He's not. He's a businessman, folks. I'm sorry to say. I know that hurts your feelings. When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. So I don't know how much money JP Morgan Chase is going to lose if Disney does not become a big moneymaker again. I don't know, but I'm sure it's there. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. Now, I disagree with some other YouTubers saying that, this is because of George's wife. George's wife is in his ear, and she's on the board of JP Morgan. George is himself a man who likes money. Stop putting George on a pedestal. It's not his wife. Yes, she's connected, but so is he. Right? He's saying right here, it's Bob Iger. I love Bob Iger. I'm a big Bob Iger fan. He is interested in money, and I wish Star Wars fans would pull him off of his soapbox and realize that that's been the case for a very long time. A very, very long time. Okay? Darth Vader became Space Jesus because Darth Vader was so popular. Okay? That's why. Darth Vader was literally just the muscle man for Palpatine. He wasn't even number 2. He was at best number 3. He was under Tarkin. But he was such a powerful character that George said, we're going to make the rest of the movies about him. And you can argue with me all day and say, oh no, he had his plans before that. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. In fact, he even said that he figured Star Wars was going to be a one-off. That there was no way there was ever going to be sequels. But it was just so popular that there were. And then he started to change things, right? He made Luke and Leia brother and sister instead of love interest. He constantly was changing things, and it made more money. It made more money. That's not to say every one of those decisions was about money. I'm not saying that. But none of those decisions were about not making money, right? That's George Lucas. That's not his wife. So stop with this George Lucas pedestal garbage. And he sold it to Disney, and he never put in the contract with Disney that they had to honor his treatments for the sequels. He never did that. That was just a verbal, we'll consider those. He never put it in the contract. He could have. He could have forced them to do them, but he didn't. Because it wasn't about that. He wanted his $4 billion. He's getting old. He wanted his bucks, baby. So that's the reality. So stop blaming his wife. Okay, it's not his wife. I love you guys, but it's not his wife. She's just a part of the whole big billionaire banking class program. Under Iger, Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012 for $4 billion, a deal which Lucas received 31.7 million Disney shares. Lucas, who had founded the company in 1971, had an estimated net worth of $7.9 billion per the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. He is Disney's largest individual shareholder, according to sources familiar with the company. At Disney's 2024 annual shareholders meeting, to be held virtually April 3rd, investors will vote on rival board candidate slates. Disney's own 12-member lineup, Nelson Peltz's trained partners, 2 nominees, or 3 from the investment firm Blackwell's Capital. Peltz, for one, has argued that Disney stock has underperformed the market and that the company needs to adopt and execute more urgent strategies to drive sustained and profitable growth. Yeah. Yup, that's reality. Lucas's comment that creating magic is not for amateurs may be a reference to Disney's point that Peltz has admitted that he has no media experience. The filmmaker's statement comes as Disney has won other supporters in the board fight. On Monday, independent proxy voting advisory firm Glass Lewis issued a report recommending Disney shareholders vote for the Disney's 12 director nominees. Last month, grandchildren of Walt Disney and his brother Roy issued open letters criticizing the activist inventors' campaigns, threatening to shake up Disney board and throw their support behind Iger and the current board. So even Walt Disney's kids are behind Iger. It's mind-blowing. And this is the nepotism and stuff that goes along with this billionaire class. People will say, well, Why are they hiring Leslie Headland, like I mentioned earlier, to make a Star Wars show when everything she did was like a sex thing? Why would they do that? Because she's connected. She's connected. Her and her wife are connected with Kennedy. It's all nepotism. You guys, gone are the days of merit. It's over. Meritocracy is gone in almost every major industry. It's over. That's why you have big mistakes being made and such a level of incompetence, because so many people that are at the top of these big, humongous corporate interests are just there because they're friends with somebody, not because they're qualified or know what they're doing, right? So and this is the reality of the situation, but unfortunately people don't seem to get that. They actually think that these people, like, they think Bob Iger is in his position because he knows what he's doing and he's super duper smart. If he was, then why did the stock get absolutely exploded down to half of what its value was 5 years ago? And he still has a job. So this other company saying they want to replace him, I don't blame them. But the problem is people like George, his wife, Jamie Dimon, and all these other people that are buddies with Bob don't want him gone, and they have a lot of influence, especially George, who's the number one independent shareholder in the company. Welcome to the death of creative reality. Welcome to the death of Star Wars. That Star Wars dies and is dying because of money and nepotism. The creative was gone a long time ago, folks. Okay, why do you think every single show is tied to George's movies in the timeline in some way, including The Acolyte? It's gonna be a lore-breaking thing that affects the prequels, 100%. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they brought Boba Fett back? Why do you think they did all of these shows that take place in the timeline, whether it's between the OT and the sequels or whatever? Why do you think they did that? Because they're gonna milk the creative end as much as possible for money. Look what they did to Luke, making Grogu choose, even though he knows the detachments aren't bad. And his Jedi Order was supposed to be different. It doesn't matter, because they don't actually care about Luke's character. They just flippantly write a show and throw him in there and hope you guys all get excited. He's flipping around and swinging a lightsaber in the show. Why? No reason. No reason. The hallway scene, okay, fine, he's fighting the Dark Troopers. Why is he on the planet dancing around with his lightsaber in front of Grogu? What's the purpose of that? It's just to get you excited. Even though it makes him look dumb, they don't care. You see what I'm saying? So Star Wars now is literally the only reason it even exists is just to try and make more money. And George knows that. And George is making money off of it. So why would he say, it's bad? Or why would he do anything? Disney previously said it opposes the candidates nominated by Train and Blackwells as lacking the appropriate range of talent, skill, perspective, and or expertise, and urged shareholders to vote for its 12 nominees. Yeah, because it's going so well. Disney last week released its strong rebuttal to Peltz to date in a video that called the proxy fight being waged by Train, or Tryon, disruptive and destructive. And said Peltz's quest also seems more about vanity than belief in Disney. Why else would he sell 500,000 Disney shares over the past 6 months in the middle of his proxy fight? Maybe because they're losing value. He seems more about vanity than belief in Disney. It's not that he doesn't believe in Disney. He doesn't believe in Bob Iger and these idiots running it. It's just... Tryon Partners controls some $3.5 billion worth of Disney stock, 79% of which is owned by ex-Marvel Entertainment chairman Ike Perlmutter, whom Disney has accused of harboring a long-standing personal grudge against Iger. Yeah, because it went down the toilet. When he was the chairman of Marvel, it was good. And it's not anymore. Like, it's not about a grudge. It's just business. Like, and here's Variety, right? Variety running damage control for Disney, too. They probably have stocks in Disney, right? So, all that to say, guys, it's time to pull George Lucas off the pedestal. Finally, can we do that, please? I've been saying this. You can go back and watch any of my old videos. I did a video about his sequel treatments like 2 years ago, and they're terrible. I'm sorry, they are. Darth Maul still alive? What? He's been killed twice, and you're still trying to milk that character for all he's worth? You guys think that Darth Maul's in the Clone Wars because that was just a really bold, smart, creative decision? Like, come on. The reason he's in the Clone Wars, they sliced him in half, and then he was so popular. It was like a Boba Fett thing, right? He was so popular that George said, we gotta find a way to bring him back because he makes us money. Do you guys not understand that that's how it works? And you can say, oh, I like what they did with them. That's fine. You can like those stories. And some of them are actually kind of cool. But in the back of my mind when I'm watching them, I'm always thinking, bro was literally sliced in half. Their anger can make them live, even if they get chopped in half and they don't have a bum or a penis anymore. They're literally a torso. They can still live. Because they got mad. Like, you guys, it was just because he was a moneymaker. He was a moneymaker. That's why. Come on. Wake up, guys. George is not this, like, he's not levitating above us. He's still a human being. He has urges. He likes his money. All that stuff. He wasn't making that stuff for free. Anyways, so, and the whole thing about, oh, is he a sellout? And, he did his movie independently because he didn't like the studios and their control, blah, 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 blah. Guys, he's into his money. He's just a person. People are greedy. Stop putting him on a pedestal, okay? We all love what he did with the OT. We love it. We kinda are okay with what he did with the prequel trilogy. He went way overboard with computer effects. Whatever. There's issues with those movies, okay? We all get it. But at the end of the day, he's grown into a man who is far more concerned with his money and what he's leaving for his family and all of that stuff than he is whether or not Star Wars is actually good, okay? And we know that, because he wouldn't be supporting Bob Iger if that was the case, because Bob Iger has run the brand into the ground, okay? And they've made literally at most $3 billion in 12 years after they purchased it for $4 billion, which is absolutely pathetic. They haven't even profited what they paid for it yet. Okay? So pull George off the pedestal, call it for what it is. You can still love what he did and understand that he's a changed man. He's not the same person that he was. He just isn't. He just is not. It's that simple. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this whole debacle. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And check out anything else on my channel, including my Disney financial video that I mentioned earlier. And have yourselves a really good day.